Alright, so April 25th through the 29th, week 2 of term 3, all done. I'm sorry to say that I didn't get to class very much this week because I was extremely sick. This is probably the sickest I've been since coming to England. I'd lost my voice completely for several days, so I didn't get to go to any of my voice classes, any of the singing classes. The only classes that I did get to go to is I went to all of the rehearsals for our show. I also went to Alex's acting class, in spite of the fact that Emily couldn't act that day because she was quite sick as well. And I went to our workbook class, where we talked to Alex and whatnot. And so those are the things that I'm going to be talking about. And so in our workbook class, which was the first class that I actually made it to this week, we had some questions by Alex that we needed to answer. The first question was, what is good rehearsal etiquette? Now, I didn't really say much, neither the workbook class nor when we continued this in Alex's class, but I did have a lot to say. First of all, this is all very straightforward, common sense stuff, but we're all perpetrators of it, including myself. So I don't think the conversation was for any one person. That being said, I did notice that there was a lot of things said that did affect me personally, that things where I was doing. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing those anymore, but they were brought to my attention. Not necessarily somebody saying, oh, Zach did this. That's not what happened at all. But it was brought up, that's what I was doing. And I can't believe that I was doing something so just common sense that you're not supposed to do it, you know? And then there were some things said that I don't necessarily agree with, like that you need to be to every rehearsal regardless of if you're actually in the scene or not. I don't learn that way. I really don't. I am a hands-on learner, but I'm not the type that watches somebody do something and then am able to learn something from that. I can't pay attention like that. I don't have the attention span for that. I've tried, I really have, and I will continue to try when I am there and I don't necessarily feel like I need to be. But my attention span doesn't work that way. The next question that we were asked was, are you a perfectionist, and being a perfectionist be negative, and who do you think is a perfectionist in the group? And I already answered that last week, but I will reiterate a little bit about that. I don't think anybody in the group is actually a perfectionist, because there's no such thing as perfect in art, especially in theater. There is as good as you can possibly do. And if you can't do any more, then that's perfect, I guess. That's just my personal opinion. Madison and Jared said that they were both perfectionist, and Aubrey kind of said that she was. And I think Emily said that she kind of was, based off of Madison and Jared's interpretation of it. But I don't think that that was perfectionist, what they were talking about. There was one thing that was mentioned that I really wanted to talk about but didn't get the chance to in the classes. Aubrey had said that she holds people to a high standard, that they have to be doing their best and their work. Here's the issue with that. What a person's best is and what your opinion of that person's best are two very different things. That person can be doing everything in their power to try and get the best performance that they can, to be off book as quickly as they can, to do everything in their power to make it a good performance. And Aubrey might not be seeing it that way. And if she's not seeing it that way, she has and will continue to get mad at people in the future. That's not fair. That's not fair to them, and it's not even fair to her. You cannot hold people to a standard. The only person that you can hold to a standard is you, because you don't know what is going on in those other people's lives. That's all I have to say about that. Also in workbook class, we had the MFA second years, a couple of them show up to discuss their projects, their dissertations with us, to help us get a better understanding of what's going to be happening next term. I have to say, this conversation has changed my mind on something. I was originally going to do 25% written, 75% performance. Now, I'm not doing any written. I'm doing 75% performance, 25% viva voce. The reasoning behind changing that is a couple of things. Number one, their definition of 25% is not 25%. So 15,000 words is 100% written. 25% of 15,000 words should be about 3,750 if my math is correct. I think Larissa did like 8,000 words, which would be roughly half. That math doesn't add up to me. I don't mind answering questions in front of a panel of what process I went through to do this. I can talk. That's not an issue. I would have rather have written 3,750 words. But then I heard Larissa talking about doing transcribing of her interviews and things like that. And that brought her total page count up to 80 pages. Now, Samia, who did 15,000 words, who had to do a 100% written, she had a page count of about 107, I think, or 127, somewhere in there. And Larissa's doing 80 pages of that and a 45-minute thing? No, I'm not. That's way too much work. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I understand that this whole process is a lot of work, but doing 100% written is a certain amount of work, and doing a 45-minute presentation and a viva voce is another amount of work that's pretty similar to the 100% written. But doing half performance, half written, or 75% performance, 25% written, or even 75% written, 25% performance, that's way more work than the other two options. I would rather be able to perform what I have learned, because I'm an actor. I hope that makes sense. So that being said, the next class that I made it to was Alex's acting class, and once again I didn't get to perform this week because Emily was sick. We are ready. We can do this. We have our lines memorized. We have really nice emotion in behind everything. We understand what we're saying. So I'm ready to perform this, and I'm looking forward to this coming up Wednesday to be able to do it, hopefully, as long as she's feeling better. But we haven't been able to. So I've got to watch the other three groups do theirs. Well, the first week, the other three groups, all three did theirs. This week, we only got to watch Jared and Aubrey because we did a lot of extra talking, this finishing up what we were talking about in workbook. So overall, we've had roughly 4.5 hours of conversations out of 5 hours of classes this week. So that's a lot of talking. And once again, I don't personally learn that way. I learn by doing mostly, by repeating it over and over and over and over again. So, I mean, I'm glad, I really am glad that other people are learning through this process, but to me, it feels like wasted time. And I know my opinion isn't the correct one. I'm not ever saying that it is. I'm just saying that's how it feels to me. After Alex's class, we had a whole bunch of rehearsal for the Veil. And I gotta say, I love this play. We are awesome at it. We all belong here. We all deserve to be here. And this play is definitive proof of that. This is something that we've all done. I mean, not necessarily the Veil specifically, but this type of acting, this type of play, this genre of play. We've all done it. We all understand it, and that's very apparent. We're all able to act it out in a way that says, this is the correct way to do it. if there is such a thing as a correct way to do it. And our director, Simon, is absolutely fabulous. I love what he's doing with us. He's having us read the play very slowly and calmly. I think I talked about this last week, but just in case, I'm going to reiterate that. So we're reading the play very slowly and calmly. So we'll read our lines, looking at our person, listening to what they have to say, but very slowly and calmly. I will admit, doing it this way, I am learning what to listen for and what is important in what I'm saying, as opposed to just doing it over and over and over again until eventually it clicks. Oh, that's what he's meaning here. This way has got me realizing, oh, this sentence is supposed to be said this way. There's a definitive flow to it. And I wasn't saying it that way before doing the slow reading. But then after the slow reading, we'll go and do a run of that section of the play, which eventually we did a run of the entire play. So that was pretty cool. He said that that was something that he hasn't ever done with any of his other groups before, but he did it with us because he thought we were ready for it. So that's pretty cool. What can I take away from all of this? I think if in the future I ever do become a teacher, if that's where I end up, and I end up becoming a director, then I can use some of these tools to help direct. But also, even if I don't, even if I become an actor, I can use some of these tools to A, learn my lines easier, and B, learn how the lines are supposed to be said, why I'm saying them, what I mean, what I'm doing, etc. So yeah, that's what I've got from this week. Thanks for watching.